the Workforce Connections podcast, where we discuss workforce development in Southern Nevada. Here's your host.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of the WC podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. I'm privileged to call him my friend, Clark County Commissioner Justin Jones. Welcome, Justin.
Thanks for letting me over here.
Yeah, you've always been a strong advocate for workforce and economic development in our region. But before we dive into that, I wanted you to tell your story. Like, I heard you ended up in Las Vegas through a love story. And I always, who doesn't love a love story? But so tell us where you were born, where you went to school, college. College is where presumably the love story started, and then law school, and eventually how love brought you to Las Vegas, where you're now building your career and your family.
Yeah, for sure. So I was born in Southern California, and my dad was a professor. And we kind of moved around as his jobs moved around the country, and lived in North Carolina and Boston, but mostly in California and Utah. And so I went to college at BYU, and that is actually where the love story happened. I had served a mission for the LDS Church, and I came back sort of middle of the year. And when I got back, my roommate had introduced me to this hot girl named Megan. And Megan was from Las Vegas, and we started dating. And she was supposed to go to study abroad in Vienna for the next year. And I was signed up to go to DC for a semester. And so we were trying to figure things out. And I proposed and moved down here to Las Vegas for the summer and worked construction on the Strip. And that was a challenge. I learned that I definitely don't ever want to do construction work. We got married, and the next day we packed up our car and moved to Washington, D.C. for a semester. My wife was able to quickly find an internship with Senator Harry Reid. And so she worked off and on with Senator Reid for 20 years. And so we went back to DC after graduating from college, and I went to George Washington Law School. And that was a great experience. Really enjoyed being in DC. But our heart was in the West. And so we moved back here to Las Vegas. I clerked for a federal judge, and then practiced law for 20 years.
Wow, what an amazing story. See, I've known you for a while, but I learned a lot there. So I got a few quick follow-up questions. When I hear BYU, I used to think only Provo, but then since my daughter played basketball, I know BYU has other campuses, Hawaii, Idaho. So was it Provo?
I did go to Provo, but my dad actually taught at BYU Hawaii for 4 years while I was in college.
Okay, so the love story started in Provo. And my second follow-up was, when you both went back to DC in the internship, one of the coolest memories I have of Senator Reid was when he was the majority leader, he took me through I don't know if I call it a secret passway from his office to the chamber. Have you seen that?
Oh yeah, that was the thing. One of the things that I think got lost after the times that we were there with 9/11, et cetera, all the little secret passageways and being on the actual little railway trains with members of Congress. And when you're a political nerd like my wife and I we were like, oh my gosh, that's Ted Kennedy. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's, these legends of politics.
That's so DC. Cool. A final follow-up question on that story. So when you were working construction on the Strip, where was it?
So I actually worked at Circus. So you can't. It's hard to believe it now, but 25 years ago they built the second tower, right? So they were doing renovations on the original tower, and so I was there ripping out shower stalls and ripping out tile and all that type of stuff.
Wow, so you had the big tools with that.
It was a lot of Sawzall and that type of thing, but it was hot.
Yeah, that is so cool. Well, there's another thing that ties us, because as you know, I spent 20 years on the Strip in facilities. A lot of it was, new construction, but also demolition and renovation was a big piece of it. Mm-hmm. So let's go to the law practice, because you've practiced here for years. And when one researches you, because that's what we try to do, is find those tidbits we didn't know about Justin Jones. But it's evident that you've always been involved in the community throughout your time practicing law. And one of the things that I remember from the first day I met you is you're passionate about this work. You really care. It shows in your follow through. Every time you've told me something, it's been the case. And so now in 2012, you were elected to the Nevada Senate, and that's probably where you met friends of Workforce Connections like Irene Bustamante Adams, Olivia Diaz, and but then in 2018 to the Clark County Commission representing District F, re-elected recently in 2022, and now voted vice chairman by your peers of the commission. So tell us two things. What work are you most proud of so far in the commission? But also, what are your hopes to accomplish in the next few years?
Absolutely. As we all know, the pandemic was really tough. We were all working on our priorities at the on the county commission and throughout all the bodies, and we sort of had to just stop in our tracks and pivot and focus on health and housing for folks. And so one of the things that I'm most proud of is our work on providing affordable housing. We really learned how hard people had it during the pandemic. We worked on the eviction moratorium to make sure people were getting kicked out of their homes. And then obviously rents have gone up so substantially, and it's really difficult for people. And so we've really been working hard on making sure that we create additional affordable housing for folks. We used our federal ARPA dollars and devoted $140 million of that to provide more affordable housing, and have funded 30 plus projects. And so we're really excited as those projects are coming out of the ground that we'll be able to provide more affordable housing for folks. So that's something that's really excited. In terms of going forward, my big thing right now is behavioral health. I've myself had issues with depression, and it's something that I'm passionate about. As we see in our community, particularly post-pandemic, it seems like it touches everyone, every family, every school. And so I have been partnering with Brian Knutson from the city of Las Vegas and some fantastic folks at the Department of Health and Human Services, and really looking at building out additional access to mental health and substance abuse disorder treatment facilities here.
Justin, and that is such an issue today. You and I have friends, colleagues have been touched by, mental health and the worst of it when, people are so overcome by it, but that, they make the most consequential of choices. And so, yes, what an important issue for us to work on, because not only is it, again, something that is affecting the workforce, but as you said, far beyond that, families as a whole. And so, again, as I said in the beginning, your passion has always made you a huge supporter of aligning workforce to economic development in our region. You and I both sit on the LVGA 50, which is, who sells our region, is out there trying to bring those companies that would add value. Now, as you know, we're being more strategic about how we go find, because we have issues here in Clark County. We have water issues, land issues, labor issues, healthcare issues. And so we have to be, I think, smart about the companies we want to bring to our economy. You also know you were a huge supporter of our early efforts with the libraries. Unlike any region in the country, we've really scaled our presence of our American Job Centers that Workforce Connections oversees. It started with libraries, one of them in your district, and then it went to also colleges. It went to now we're at the Whitney Recreation Center, another Clark County facility, and then really the Vegas Chamber. First local board in the nation to have an American Job Center and a Chamber of Commerce. And now, hopefully in a few weeks, we're going to invite you. We'll be also, again, the first local board in the nation or region in the nation to open an American Job Center in a business itself, which is the whole point of this system, to connect employers to our ready workforce. But nobody until us has been able to open one in a business. And so hopefully you'll be there with us. But tell us, considering all this, why do you think it's important to really, and why are you passionate about aligning workforce to economic development?
Well, I think they are absolutely go hand in hand, and you've seen it with some of the projects that have come into town, like Cost Automation, for example, and their partnership with CSN to really build out the engineering and manufacturing workforce in order to accomplish those goals. And when you talk about any of the types of projects that we're looking at bringing in town, whether it be F1 or whether it be an exciting manufacturing project like many of those that are going up in Apex in North Las Vegas, we have to have the workforce in order to make those happen. And even for all of the things that we do here in town, if we move businesses here, they have to have access to healthcare services. They have to have access to good education. And we already know that we have severe workforce shortages when it comes to education and healthcare. So we have to make sure that we are integrating those concerns into everything that we do. And like you're talking about, integrating it into our library system, into our local governments, into our companies themselves.
And Justin, another thing that you supported last year for us in 2022 was we launched 7 industry sector partnerships where we convened employers, small, medium, and large, from across those 7 target sectors that the LVGA sets for us. And we were able to convene them to really understand their needs and extract opportunities for collective action. Because since we don't have the capacity to solve every employer's problem, we wanted to find common problems and really get at it. And part of it was, again, really making sure that their voice was what structured and influenced most meaningfully the talent pipeline. And when I say talent pipeline, as you know, we've been talking about, it doesn't start when young people graduate at 18. It starts deep in through high school, middle school, and elementary school. And so why do you think it's important for businesses to have a voice and actually lead when it comes to what the talent pipeline should look like?
Well, I think businesses need to articulate what it is that they need at the end of the day. And if they can do that within our higher ed system or K-12 system, then we can really grow the pipeline for the workers of the future. We all know that there are some of the jobs that we're looking at right now that are going to be replaced by AI, right? So we got to be prepared right now for the jobs of the future, making sure that we have access to those. And a lot of those are going to be in the sectors that we're talking about. Education, healthcare. It's really hard to just replace a teacher in a classroom with a robot. It's hard to replace a nurse with a robot.
Yes.
So we're going to need a lot of those types of positions here, and we got to grow them from the ground floor.
I know you've probably played with it already too, Chat GPT, and I rewind 20 years. And if you would have told me, Jaime, one day you're going to put your young daughter in a car with a stranger, ride share, it seemed impossible. And if you would have told probably people 100 years ago, you're going to get into this, metal hunk of thing that's going to fly in the air. Sometimes it's difficult to see technology, but as you said, man, it's a little mind-boggling to think what could happen 20 years from now. When I play with Chat GPT, I almost feel like my job is going to be replaced one day because it is.
Well, I just assume that your questions here today were generated by Chat GPT.
We did a lot of research. During our research with you, we found out that you serve obviously on multiple, commissions and boards, not just the Clark County Commission, the Regional Transportation Commission, the Springs Preserves Board of Trustees, the Southern Nevada Water Authority, with me on the Las Vegas Global Economic Alliance. That's a broad scope of work, but I imagine it's helpful. How does it help you to be involved in all those multiple facets of our community? How does that help you be a better commissioner?
Well, it definitely makes every day interesting, right? I mean, I can go from talking about our water crisis that we have here on one day to being out of school, as I was this morning, talking about education and the opportunities that we have there to make sure that we have social services for our families. So it really is something new every minute of every single day. And it really is beneficial to be able to get out there and share what I know, but also really to learn from the fantastic folks that we have in all of these organizations that you mentioned. And I really love being on the LVGA board. It's a big board, as you know. 50 people can be unwieldy at times, but you just know that the collective knowledge in that room is just tremendous. And being able to work from higher ed, folks in higher ed, folks that are in local government, and really so many people who are out in the business community.
Yep. Tina, quickly, you just got a shout out there for Commissioner Jones. So also during our research, we found out a little bit more on the personal side of Justin Jones, that in your spare time, you enjoy running, cycling, hiking in Red Rock Canyon, and traveling to new and exotic places. So talk us through that perfect day for you in Red Rock Canyon, and then describe the most exotic place you visited so far.
Well, I got to tell you, we've had some perfect days in Red Rock the last few weeks. I got out the week before last, for example. I was training for this race that's coming up. We've got the Tour de France coming in in May. So I was out there and I did 50 miles on my bike, and I just felt great. It was just one of those perfect days that we have this time of year, and it just was amazing.
You were doing that loop up there, right? Wow.
Yeah, the views are amazing. The wildflowers were out, and it was just one of those perfect days. Most exotic place that I've ever been. Well, I've had the amazing opportunity to go to Peru, and my wife and I got to go to Machu Picchu and hike up all the way to the top, and that was just really a magical experience to be in Machu Picchu.
It's so interesting to hear somebody else say it because I'm Peruvian. And when I say it, it sounds so biased to say you must go to Machu Picchu. It's a magical experience. But I'm so glad to hear you say it because those who are listening or viewing us, I always say if you haven't put it on your list, it's just a very special place. And I'm glad that you experienced that. When did you? Two questions, I guess. Did you like the food? And if you did, have we gone to the Peruvian restaurant yet here in Las Vegas?
We haven't. Do they have cuy?
Yeah. Well, no cuy.
No cuy?
No
Okay.
cuy, which I wish they did. But did you try it?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
I'd basically try anything anywhere I go.
That's
And
so cool.
no, Peru was amazing. My wife and I were able to go with our friends to Vietnam, Cambodia, and Thailand. That was just amazing. Be there at some of these just historic places.
Yeah. Have the kids join you in some of these?
Many of them.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. They didn't go to Peru with us, but I'm sure they will at some point in the future.
Did you, and the trip to Machu Picchu, did you ride the train or do the?
Did.
Okay.
The train was just, I mean, you're going through just the most amazing places from Cusco to Machu Picchu and just enjoying the scenery there.
And you wonder how, and through those valleys, they made it without a train, right?
Exactly.
You wonder about
But
that.
I've always wanted to do the 4-day or the 7-day hike that takes you all the way up
Yeah.
there. Didn't do that last time. But
So,
it's a
If you ever want to talk about it more, I did it when I was in my 20s. I don't know if I could do it now, but Bart Patterson, our friend,
oh yeah.
president
Right.
of Nevada State College. Bart, if you're watching,
Uh-huh.
let's go to lunch with Justin and talk about it. But he did the 3-night, 4-day trek, which is unbelievable because, as you said, what you see in the train is good enough. If you do that in a lifetime, it's amazing. It's a 3-4 hour train ride through the most beautiful part of Peru. But these other folks, they have, I know the word's not Sherpa, but they have a crew of Sherpas
Right.
that move a camp every day and give you 3 square meals for 3 days as you ascend into Machu Picchu. And Bart, and him talked about it. Again, for me, it's a 30, 40-year memory, but it is, again, amazing to camp among wildlife and to hear mountain lions and birds of all types around you during the night as they watch over you in a fire and all that. But it culminates, and you remember this. You remember walking into Machu Picchu and for the first time laying your eyes on that magnificent site that withstands torrential rains every year and makes you wonder how. And then, of course, you learn about the engineering and the layers. But that other trip culminates on the other side, Huayna Picchu, and it's again is breathtaking because they get you there before sun up, and it's complete darkness, and you kind of sit on a cliff, and your feet feel like it's hanging, and then as the sun comes up, it reveals that site, and it's one of the most unbelievable things. So. Hey, we'll do it together.
Yeah, for
Have
sure.
to get in shape.
Okay.
So, Justin, you've accomplished a lot in your life personally, and now in the public life as well. You have a growing family, but you still have so much ahead of you still. What advice would you give young people who one day want to be a community leader like you?
Well, I mean, I sort of fell into this to a certain extent. Never really thought, even though I was interested in politics, never really thought I would run at any point. But I would just say keep involved in your community. That was definitely what led me to this path, was being involved in Legal Aid Society, providing pro bono service for legal aid. It was United Way. I was able to serve on their board, and just volunteering at different organizations. That really gives you that direct connection with the people who need your help the most. And if you decide that you're going to go into public office, then you'll have those relationships that are so critical when you get into office.
Great advice. Well, thank you, Justin, for not only being here with us today, but again, being such a strong supporter for us through the years. We're looking forward to working with you in this next term on growing the partnership through the Las Vegas Clark County Library, our presence in Clark County, facilities, and still that location you and I know about, who we have, we've walked together. We got to do something there in your district and that library. So thanks again for being with us today.
Thank you, Jaime. You've done amazing things with Workforce Connections.
Thank you, Justin. Well, that's it for another episode of the WC Podcast. We hope to see you in the next one. Until then, stay safe. Okay, thank you, Justin, for staying over for our bonus segment called Against the Wall. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
The first section is called Your Favorites. I'm going to give you a category. You're going to give me your favorite one in that category. Your favorite Southern Nevada organization. No, just kidding. We know that's Workforce Connections. Your favorite place to run.
Definitely Red Rock Canyon. It's just beautiful out there.
Your favorite place to hike.
Well, I'm just going to say Red Rock Canyon to all these questions because it's just so close and so nice.
And you've already told us this, your favorite exotic place you've visited so far.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've had the pleasure of going to some great places, but Machu Picchu is pretty much at the top of the list.
I couldn't agree more. Your favorite musical group?
My favorite musical group is Depeche Mode.
Old school, nice.
Yeah.
Favorite movie?
Favorite movie is absolutely Ferris Bueller's Days Off.
Wow.
I can watch it any day of the week.
Wow. Favorite book?
Oh, favorite book. Oof. That's a tough one. My favorite book that I've read recently is called Quit by Annie Duke, a former poker player.
All right. Favorite holiday?
Favorite holiday? Like everyone else, I really do enjoy Christmas because it's time to spend time with family.
We all do. This is a tricky one. Mm-hmm. Favorite sports team?
Favorite sports team, I'll go with the Raiders, although I'm hopefully going to the Knights game tonight.
Oh, yes. Yeah. One more to clinch this one, right?
Yep.
All right. You made it through flying colors through the first section. The second one is called Tough Choices. I'm going to give you a choice here. You're going to have to pick one. You ready? Mm-hmm. Vacation or staycation?
Vacation, absolutely.
Once you get there, is it a hotel or an Airbnb?
Hotel if it's just me and my wife, Airbnb if it's family.
I agree. Now, would you rather travel there by plane or train?
Plane.
And when you retire, Justin, would you like to retire on a ranch or in the city?
City, probably.
Now, this one, tough one. A morning run on the beach or in the desert?
On the beach.
All right. Cycling or hiking in Red Rock Canyon?
Cycling.
Reading a book or watching the movie of that book?
Reading the book.
Owe money or owe a favor?
Owe a favor.
It gets tougher. Actions or words?
Actions.
Justice or grace?
Grace.
So you made it again through the second segment. The third one is called Finish the Sentence. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
If Justin could visit any place in the world, it would be?
Australia.
The best part of living in Southern Nevada is?
Our amazing strip locations.
Justin's favorite thing about his job is?
Oh, it's different every day.
If Justin could travel back in time, he would travel to?
I travel back to college. Those are the days.
Me too. And 3 words that describe Justin are?
Active, caring, outdoorsy.
Pretty true. Doing the WC podcast here today with us was?
Amazing.
All right. Justin, thank you for staying over for the bonus segment.
Absolutely.